Tonight's very different. We have two presentations, and one part of that presentation, I hope, will be by two board members who are on their way. They're running late, Laquita and Catherine. But meanwhile, we're going to start out with our first panel that is going to discuss issues around and related to mental health. The second panel will talk about trauma-informed care. Okay. Meanwhile, tonight we don't have with us, excused absences are Bud Hewless, Vince Elmore, Rabbi Kahana, Officer Jakari. I think that's it. Okay. So, Mandy, do you have any housekeeping things to tell people? Is she not in the room? Okay. Any housekeeping stuff?
No.
Do you know where the bathrooms are?
I might know that. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Let's see. Welcome to a new space. And just to let you know, if you were to walk out this hallway and turn to your left, the restrooms would be on your left-hand side. The exits to this building are on the northeast and southeast sides of the building. For those of you who are watching tonight who are not able to be here because of childcare issues, I want to let you know that we do provide childcare on request, and I just need 10 days notice in order to do that. So please give me a call at 503-823-5149, and I'm happy to set that up for you. Are we introducing Brad?
You can go ahead. Yeah.
I don't know what to say.
Well, I want to tell you that Brad, whose last name just went out of my mind, Taylor, is here tonight as a mental health specialist. He's in the back of the room. He's here to support people who may feel the need for some support. You can go and talk to him. You can say, hey, come and talk to me. He's here to help us out. The first panel is entitled Mental Health, Peers, and Possibility. And our panelists are Janie Marsh and Ann Casper. And I've been asked to read the short bios. Janie Marsh has worked as a peer support specialist, forensic peer specialist, QMHA, and community support and integration teams coordinator for Yamhill County Behavioral Health. What is QMHA, please? She's been involved in program development and has provided individual support in a variety of ways, such as mental health and addictions recovery, physical health and well-being, with supported employment and early assessment and support alliance. Janie joined Mental Health America of Oregon in 2014 and is director of MHAO, Evolve Peer Delivered Services. Janie spent 1 year in Lewis and Clark's Professional Counseling, Mental Health, and Addictions graduate programs in 2014-15, then transferred last fall to PSU, where she's currently a student in the Master of Public Administration, Health Administration program. Welcome, Janie. Ann Casper. Ann Casper is a self-proclaimed really bad belly dancer who loves practicing French, German, Japanese, and now Italian. Her family has been in Portland for over 130 years. She has an undergraduate degree in international economics and a master's in applied linguistics. She taught English as a second language and U.S. citizenship at PSU, PCC, and other programs for more than 20 years. She was chosen by the Japanese and German governments to spend 1 year working in each country. She's enjoyed visiting 17 countries, including those in Europe, Asia, and the Middle East, and worked for SOAR in refugee settlements and helped get housing, education, and transportation support for more than 500 refugees and asylees. What is SOAR, please?
Sponsors organized to assist refugees, Ecumenical Ministries of Oregon.
All right. She is an accidental mental health advocate who worked as a peer support specialist at CATC and Clackamas County. Ann has volunteered at Multnomah County Mental Health and Addictions Division, Disability Rights Oregon, and the National Alliance on Mental Illness. She worked for more than 10 years on jail diversion with LPSCC.
Local Public Safety Coordinating Council,
Thank you.
Multnomah County.
And the Portland Public Police helped create the Multnomah County Mental Health Court and volunteered in the jail downtown. She hosts a cable access show on mental health in Portland and has worked with the Portland Community Media Camera people here today at the COAB. Ann currently volunteers on the Legacy Unit project, having the privilege to participate in high-level meetings, sharing information as a person with mental health challenges, and getting other peers and family members involved. Ann has had her civil rights taken away in most of the hospitals in Portland, so she can tell you which have the best desserts. All right, thank you. I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. Do we have a remote for the, no, okay. So we're gonna do this very carefully. This is, actually, could I get a volunteer to help me with this? Shannon, can you come? Yeah, just hit this one.
Yeah, I can do that.
There we go. So tonight, Questa Sera, it's Italian a little bit because I went to Italy last year. Somebody very close to me completed suicide. She was 19, and I didn't know what to do. Her story is very close to mine in the mental health things. So I hadn't traveled for 10 years because of my illness. I saved up enough airline points I could go for $80, so I just went to Italy last year. That's why there's some Italian here. We're going to talk about a very short introduction to the recovery movement in Oregon. We're talking about our stories, peer leaders are changing the world, and what kind of comfort agreement do you have in your meetings? Do you have anything about questions or things like that? So what I'm going to suggest, if you have questions or comments, try to keep it 2 minutes. Does that sound okay for people? And we're open to any questions, right, Jamie? So we're basically open to anything. Don't feel afraid. If we don't feel comfortable, we'll let you know. And anything else that would make people feel comfortable? Okay, we'll go with it then. So go ahead. Can you? All you need to do, yeah, press the, yeah. So in mental health, in the recovery movement, which is still new, we say nothing about us without us. That is our slogan. A lot of things are still getting planned without us being at the table, but that's changing. So recovery is possible, and we'll talk about that today. I'm just going to give you a short slide thing about this to introduce some topics. But again, mental health, recovery is possible. It's okay. And great. Or you make me go faster. It's even better, Shannon. Okay, so there's 10 components to what we call recovery that a lot of people have agreed upon, and they were also given and agreed upon through SAMHSA. Now, does anyone know what SAMHSA is? V, do you want to tell us?
No, because now I'm feeling the spot.
Okay, sorry. See, okay, so no one wants to be put on the spot. That's another comfort agreement, right? Alicia, do you want? Okay. So it's the United States Administration, Substance Abuse and Mental Health. See, I need some help. So.
Oh, I thought you were just asking if you wanted participation.
Yeah, I do too. I want participation, but I also need some help. So it's Substance Abuse, Mental Health Administration, right? And that's where a lot of the funding comes from the federal government. It trickles down to the states, to the counties, and all kinds of stuff. So these are hope, respect, empowerment, self-direction, individualized and person-centered. Keep going. Strengths-based, responsibility, peer support, holistic, nonlinear. And you may not know what all these mean. We can come back and do it again. Our presentation is really basically about our stories, but I want to give some concepts that we're working from. So the definition of that the SAMHSA gives is that recovery is a process through which individuals improve their health and wellness, live a self-directed life, and strive to reach their full potential. And sometimes we say live, love, and laugh. Wellness includes many things of life, not just medications, not just mental health, not just going to therapy, but everything that encompasses life for anybody. Education, family, friends, social network, community, so it's the whole life. And I want to mention the recovery movement because maybe people really haven't heard about it before. So it started actually a long time ago. It was started after the civil rights movement, the women's movement, and people in the mental health gathered around and said, hey, we too can ask for our rights. Let's get together and do that. Now, I personally didn't hear about it. I had mental health challenges for about 20 years before I heard about this. I didn't know about it for years. And it was when I was at the Garlington Center getting care that there's a woman named Donita, and she introduced me to all of this. And so when did you find out about the recovery movement? How long ago?
Oh, let's see, it's probably been about 10 years ago with my addiction recovery and just finding out that that was possible, and about 8 years with mental health recovery. So, yeah.
So actually, it started at a lot of places, but in Portland, we had 3 major people start it in 1968. And can you get the next one? I don't know if you ever heard about the Insane Liberation Front. Anybody? No. Wow. Oh, you did. Okay. Well, it started in Portland, and so there's. Just go to the next place. So Tom Whittock is still in Portland. He's still doing this. And Howie the Harp actually went to New York City. There's a huge center there. Peers helping peers. So peers, the definition I'm using tonight, are people with mental health issues who've self-identified like that. So Howie the Harp went to New York, created these huge programs. They have a lot of great programs for peers going into the jail system, into the state hospitals, and working to help people as they come out. Now, I kind of see it as there's 3 generations of peer recovery leaders, and these I consider in Oregon the first generation people. Does that make sense? Okay, you agree? So Scott Snedeker Wilhall just moved to San Francisco, but he is an international speaker, and he's very well known worldwide. Megan Cahe works for Daryl back there. Right, Megan? So at Cascadia, she actually wrote a whole peer wellness specialist thing. That it's kind of confusing if you're peer sports specialists and peer wellness specialists, but we'll talk about that tonight. Becky Child tomorrow is defending her PhD in social work.
Oh, I totally have to.
Yeah, isn't that great?
Wow,
Yeah.
cool.
Jason Renault is the Mental Health Association of Portland, and Kaki Marino, and these are just a few of the people. And they had a really hard time getting in and working with systems. So I'm grateful. I consider myself second generation. I'm so grateful for their work because it was really hard 10, 15 years ago at that time to go in and do stuff and get respected. So these are people I consider the first generation except for me. And, so they're all new advocates who've been doing this about 5 years. There is a bunch of us out there. You just may not have been introduced to us. And I do another presentation where I talk more about these people, but we're going to go ahead and go to the next one. And there's Janie. So Janie has some pictures. She didn't know what order I put them in, so we'll come up and talk. You got to
What am I gonna do?
talk about with the pictures, and then,
Oh.
then we'll talk. It's okay. We'll handle it.
All right.
You got to
Oh.
talk what the pictures are, because I don't know those people.
All right, well, that's me. It was after a Blue October concert, so that was pretty fun. I was 16, had been living on my own for about a year at that time. That's a real huge part of my recovery is hiking, being in nature, camping, just getting outdoors and away. So that was a great hike last summer. Another real blessing in my life is my grandkids, and that's the two I have so far, Zane and Evan. They have never seen Granny drink or use, so that's huge. And yeah, I love them so much. And I have two more on the way this year, so we'll see. One more grandson, and then we don't know what the other one is. So, another part of my recovery that's, you might know some of those folks, that's Corbett Monica back there who passed away this last year, and he is missed. Dual Diagnosis Anonymous, of which that's how I identify as well. And then that's Doyle Smith, who is currently the executive director and carrying on the mission of DDA. Let's see, other parts of my recovery, that was graduating from Linfield with my undergrad in summer of 2014. Roller derby is also a part of recreational. I don't get to play with the big kids yet, but I will. Age is not going to hold me back. So that's my dream, is to be fresh meat, which is coming. So that's cool. That was for the walk, roll, run for cerebral palsy. Got to skate and lead that. And then that was at, the other pictures, my fiance and I at my son's wedding last March. So I feel like family is a huge part of my recovery as well. I have a relationship with 3 out of my 5 adult children. So 2 I haven't gotten to know since they were children, but I still hold out that hope. So. Oh God, okay. That's my BFF and me at my graduation.
We can skip if you want.
No, I don't care, it's fine. That's me 10 years ago plus. 10 years. There's 24 mugshots. They're not all up there. Just two to give you an example of where I was. So
I'll just go a little bit into me. And who has heard of Dual Diagnosis Anonymous of Oregon? She mentioned it. Anybody heard about it? 2, 3, 4, 5 people. So Dual Diagnosis, it started with Corbett Monica, the man that was back there. He was going to AA and found that AA didn't really fit for him. Sometimes AA groups didn't like to talk about people taking medications, things like that. So he started a whole new group called Dual Diagnosis, which talks about addictions as well as mental health, right? And he used the 12 steps plus made another 5 steps that work with addictions. So this is me in Oregon. Yeah. And I just found this articles, and I got a scholarship to go to Germany. This is when I was quote unquote still a normie or normal. It's before my psychosis hit. But I just was kind of laughing today because the quote I have is, "I want a world where people are not afraid of other people." And that was when I was 17. I still want that world. Anybody else want that world? Yeah. Yeah. All right. I went to Lincoln, yeah. I was from Northeast, but I went to Lincoln.
Oh, okay.
I was international studies, yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
And actually, that's a cultural shift, too, going from Northeast to Lincoln. That's a whole nother thing. These are my nieces. I actually chose not to have children and not to, because I didn't want to have children go through all this turmoil that I go through, and I get into states where I don't know who I am. So it was really a sad thing for me. I'm so happy to have nieces. And I have a TV show, and that's Lou Frederick and his wife. I love that interview. But I do have a TV show on YouTube, and that's why I know these guys. He's my teacher before for cable access, Tim. It's really good. So that's another hobby I have. And I just want to say, too, sometimes when I was so depressed or when I came out of being committed, I would just go hang out at the TV cable station, do nothing, pretend I was editing, but then I had someplace to be where I was around people. So these guys don't know it, but I was just kind of sometimes hang out, but I do make programs. Yeah. I taught in Japan for a year, and I also ended up in the hospital system with police there, but that's a whole nother story. But I love teaching. So my first degree was economics. I wanted to be import-export trade or diplomat. That was my whole dream. Well, until I went to the hospital first time, and I knew diplomacy was out. Yeah, they're just not gonna take a person who gets psychotic and is registered as so. Yeah, So now I just do a different kind of diplomacy. And so I taught in middle schools in Japan, 18 schools in 1 year. That'll make anybody crazy, right? So love the kids. And that shifted me from thinking about doing business into teaching. And these are people, that's okay, Japanese people I live with today. So I come home and we all speak Japanese together. It's really fun. For me, cultures are very, very important. Again, when I worked with refugees, so that is actually a Kurdish party this year. Who knows what the Kurds are, who the Kurds are? A few people. So Kurds are 40 million people without their own country, Iran, Iraq, Syria, that area, and I've gone to visit there before. I helped them in 1996 along with Somalis and all kinds of people, but those were the big populations we had coming in. And sometimes, actually, I kind of felt in this country, now I'm out, now I get respect for being a person with mental illness, but for many years as a teacher, I didn't go out, and I felt like a refugee in this country, having to hide. So working with refugees kind of made sense to me, and then also, it's like their pain matches my pain. We have that in common. I don't know how to explain that, but there's something there. So the Kurds, love the Kurds. And then these are friends down here. They're from a church group, but I never attended their church, but I like them anyway. We've been meeting about 15 years for lunch once a month, and that really helps. And also, like I said, I went to Italy this year. I actually did some work with mental health people in Italy, and I healed myself, so that was important. So I love nature too, like Janie was saying. I went out 2 weeks ago to check out 4 hospitals that are the model for Unity. I paid my own way, and it's hard for me to go into hospital systems because of my own experiences them. But I feel like for Unity, I need to see the models so I can help really advise in the best way. So I went to California, this is Arizona, so I need to go out on the rocks and just let that go because it's so stressful to go back into those locked up situations. And I don't know if you can see him. This is Charlie Hales. So when 15 years ago, it really is. And this is me 15 years. So lithium, when I was on lithium for 20 years, I had curly hair. And stop the lithium, I'm back to straight hair again. Seriously. So when I was teaching English as a second language, I would bring the students in to learn about City Hall, things like that. So Charlie was nice enough as a city commissioner to give us a tour and teach us about stuff. And the reason I'm showing that picture is because the next picture is Charlie Hales today. So I just think it's funny. I just happen to have those old pictures. So this is at the Unity opening, and they said, Ann, you put the biggest hole in the wall. I said, of course. That's the old state hospital. Of course I'm going to put a big hole in the wall. Yeah. And I'm going to go into that. I guess I was going to have Janie speak, but I'll just start this a little bit. So in 2006, after what happened to James Chassie, that shifted my whole life too. I had been kind of just starting advocacy. Garlington Center, when we were on Albina, we actually protested outside because the treatment wasn't very good. Before you guys got there at Cascadia, we actually had a big protest in the street because we weren't getting what we needed. And there's also double billing. I was getting billed as well as Medicaid, all kinds of stuff. So that started advocacy. And then I also complained so much to Multnomah County. They said, hey, we can't do what you're asking for. Come volunteer with us. So I was there for 6 years in the administrative offices. They didn't realize me typing everything. I learned all the system. They didn't know that they were teaching me everything. So in 2006, and actually you were there, Yvelle, right, at that committee? It was the Mayor Potter's committee. You were chairing it, weren't you? Yeah, co-chairing, okay. So at that table, we had Sarah, help me with her last name, Westbrook. Westbrook. Captain, what is she now?
She's a commander.
Commander. Well, she's now a commander. I always get police titles mixed up. So she was a captain at that time, Sarah Westbrook. She was sitting there. Lisbeth Gerritsen, who is the trainer for CIT, the Crisis Intervention Training, was sitting there. I was on the other table. Yvelle was way down there. And I was just so furious at them. Like, how could this happen? How could the police do it? I mean, I could feel it in my body how angry I was at them. And we were across the table for a long time. We actually started working on the ideas came for the plans for the Crisis Assessment Treatment Center at that table, CATSI, which was really good. We also looked into training. As a person with mental illness, I learned about the psychological testing for police. We really went into a lot at that time. But I was just really angry at them. And then what I perceived, whether it's right or not, they treated me like I was less than. I mean, that's what I was getting at that time. And we continued CIT. They didn't want us in CIT training. We tried to help do that. We weren't getting access. But through the years, we kept continuing to be on tables, kind of like with Mary Claire, right? Continue to be on tables together. And little by little, we got to know each other. And little by little, I shifted. Whatever that anger, that hate was, I realized these are not the people that did it, and the system wants to change. The police really have interest to change, and these are agents of change. These women wanted to help create some change there, which is not easy to create change in any system. So little by little, I started to calm down and really get to know them as people. And I think little by little, they started to see me as an equal. And so Sarah, when it came to the Behavioral Health Advisory Committee, asked me to join. I'm like, look, I've been taken in handcuffs by police, but I never had any bad interactions with them. You really don't want me. So, but after 3 times, I said, okay, I'll come to the table. So she got me there. And Lisbeth, we were able to watch the enhanced crisis intervention training. I'm hoping that you guys have been introduced to that before, right, in this committee? So the extra 40 hours on top of the CIT training. And as our behavioral health unit committee, we were able to watch the training and change the training, actually shift it, get some trauma-informed care in there and things like that. And I was also very lucky, Shannon's here. So we had panels, peer panels and family panels. And also because I've been working with Lisbeth so long, they allowed me to write a half hour of the program. So I wrote a half hour, and I'm trying to get other people to do it, but I still do it for now. But it's just from that table from 2006 up to now, it was just amazing. And the last time I was there, we were checking out the program to make sure it matches police. And also I wanted to add in something about psychosis and suicide tendencies, because I get that. And that's a little bit more than that they were talking about. And I said, is that okay? Because all the committee members were not supposed to talk during the training, right? We're taught to sit in the back and listen. And she said, of course, you're our teacher, you're a co-teacher, you're an equal. And for me to hear that was just so powerful. Like, we have shifted with each other. And when they opened their training site, I got so excited too. Like maybe 10 years ago, I wouldn't be excited about the police training place, but I thought, wow, this is so cool. So they have shifted me too, to see things in a different way. So I think we're just gonna go start talk about our stories. No, we're gonna leave it for there. So Janie, do you want to talk about, you're going to talk about a little bit about your story, and we can talk together.
Oh, good, okay.
Yeah, I'll be up here.
You want to hold that then?
Sure, yeah.
Awesome.
Okay.
All right, good. I'm good with that. Let's see, so part of my lived experience, I say that I'm in recovery from a diagnosis of schizophrenia. I don't live bound by that diagnosis, and I've found a recovery that works for me without medication. And there was a time of my life where it was needed, probably saved me and some others for a few years. It really helped stop the torture that I was experiencing and could not cope with. But then what happened, mental health and addictions typically were always like passing each other. So I had a PO in the criminal justice system, revolving door of the jail in a couple of counties, and a PO who wanted me to quit drugs, get a job, do what I was supposed to do. And then I had this mental health diagnosis, and a judge who court-ordered me to take my meds, and that was my mental health treatment. Take your meds. You're ill. You will always be ill. Take your meds. Do what you're supposed to do. And so in my life, when the two met, I was probably 80 pounds heavier. I couldn't feel anything, even if it was warranted. Up, down, and if I did feel anything, family members were asking, did you take your medication today? As if it just instantly doesn't work for you. And the cocktail of medications started becoming here we'll add this, and we'll add this. The side effects started to, and nobody told me about them. So this, I was supposed to get a job. That was part of my probation. Be a mom, just be compliant. And waking up in the morning was hell. I couldn't keep my eyes open. I was so just drugged. I was so tranquilized and couldn't experience any emotions. And I went back to what I knew, and that's what gave me energy. That's what made me feel alive and had made me feel better since I was 15 years old, and that was methamphetamine. So for 22 years, I battled that. About 6 of those years was, very typical story, IV meth addict on the streets, living in the woods, taking anything that wasn't nailed down, trying to shut the max down, in the middle of Canyon Boulevard, trying to stop traffic.
That was you.
Yeah, sometimes,
Wait a minute, I stopped traffic. You tried, huh? I got him to stop.
well, and some days I was stealing cars because I was a thief and I wanted to get from point A to point B, and I stole a car. Sometimes I stole a car because it was somebody's soul that I was helping transport out of the Matrix. And every time I got arrested in one of those, they didn't know what they were, which Janie they were going to get. I was also in relationships that were violent and horribly unhealthy. And so that would involve, police interaction as well. Sometimes it was better to be in jail than stay at home with the captor that was my partner. And so there was even a time where I ran down the street saying I was going to kill him, and some poor mom on her way to take her kid to school called the police. And while the police stood by with my abuser, giving him victims' rights, I went to jail. So those are, and then I have other experiences where I was in the Matrix, 100-degree day, full trench coat, bits of this, bits of that from places that I had stopped to dismantle bombs and save the world, with a 9mm under my arm. And so that day gave me a different view of police for me. It was McMinnville, very small town. I was vampire hunting in someone's garage, and he was a retired state policeman, and so he stalked me, he caught me, and I kept that gun under my arm, and I stopped when he said, "What are you doing?" He said, "I'm going to call the police," and the police came. So, there was, death averted the first time. I'm in someone's garage with a gun. They had every right to, to defend themselves. And then with the police coming, I just remember they asked the routine questions, got anything that's going to stick me, hurt me, when they were going to arrest me. And I was like, whoa. So that officer treated me very kindly that day, which has not always been the case for many. And so, I know it could have been ended very different. But again, for me, for my story, I say freedom came the last time the handcuffs came on. After, the hospital emergency departments, inpatient psych units up here, Emmanuel and Providence, and just that cycle, as well as 2 county jails. I landed in prison, and for me, my drugs couldn't follow me there, not my street drugs, and my psych drugs didn't follow me there. And I had a year in there with a very structured routine, with beige walls, with really no responsibilities except for some time to heal. And then I was in a cognitive restructuring treatment, which of course I thought was brainwashing. But when I looked at the curriculum, it was 6-month treatment. It was Turning Point. I don't know how many of you are familiar with that. But really, it was to treat the criminality and the addiction, and also what ended up happening was it really helped with managing experiences that I have that others don't. Do I call it non-reality? No, not really. Do I know it's not the consensus reality when I experience those things? Yes. So I still, to this day, almost 10 years medication-free, I do have my experiences, and I know that I've had to change everything but my name, basically, to live the life that I have today. And so, there you have it.
Wow.
Thank you. Yeah. So I think I'll just go home now. No, my story started when I was 18. I'd come back from Germany, and I was sleeping 20 hours a day. I got a job selling hot dogs, but I couldn't stay awake. I was just so depressed. Just saw this black wall. I don't know if everyone's been there before. This black wall. I couldn't see through life at all. And I was going to start at University of Washington, and I went, the psychologist, we didn't know what to do. Went to a bunch of doctors. What's wrong with her? We don't know. Physically, she's okay. Why is she acting like this? I ended up going to college, and then I wasn't sleeping. So it was just the opposite. I was awake like 20 hours a day and started to see things, and people started to look like aliens, and I didn't know. And my parents finally came up and got me. I was in Seattle, and that was, I was just so scared. I just thought people were out to kill me, that something dark in the world was out to get me, and so I physically fight every time I go to the hospital. I don't go willingly. Just because I think when I'm going in the hospital, they're going to cut me up and take my organs and sell them. Or I think they're going to lock me up like they do. They take all your clothes away, all your possessions away. And I think they're going to lock me up and make me a sex slave. Like, they're going to lock me in this hospital and do that. I won't be able to get out. So this is the visions that go in my head. And that first time they took me in, it was Providence. And it's different now. This is many years ago. I was just fighting out physically because I was so scared. And so I got in the padded room. They tied me up, the shot in the hip, the whole thing. And that was my introduction to psychiatry. That was a pretty tough introduction. And for me, just to be in this white room, really the padded walls, the whole thing, with 4 cameras, with no explanation what I was doing there, is probably the loneliest time I ever had, because it just doesn't make sense. And then to be drugged up and not know what's going on, things are a lot different now. And I know from working at the Crisis Assessment Treatment Center, we actually haven't put anybody in restraints yet. We've been able to de-escalate people. And in the hospitals, they really try not to do that. So it's better that way. My life kind of goes up and down. There's years when I'm fine, because I've seen all you guys at different meetings and stuff, a lot of you, and there's years when I'm not fine. And I've been on 27, last count, 27 different medications. I always say by 80 I'm gonna be blue, because I don't know the long-term side effects. The lithium curl is gone, because I'm off of lithium. And it's been a struggle. So some years, like I did get, so I went to college and I had to quit, of course, because I was psychotic. But I went back, University of Washington. I was going to finish that up. And then I went to go work for a while, sometimes getting psychotic, sometimes not. Worked with refugees, worked at night, full-time to get my master's. Sometimes the mania really works. It's amazing what you can do. I've done really incredible social work stuff in the city of Portland from that energy. So it's not always bad. Some good things have happened here.
You can always be relied on.
Yeah, I can be
Last minute person?
Last minute person, you got the energy. Yeah, I can do it. And enthusiasm.
Totally.
So the mania is really high sometimes. It's not always bad. And I lost my track where I was going. But so sometimes, so I've had to quit school. I remember actually being on one drug where my thesis for my applied linguistics degree was studying 30 Somali women who were pre-literate with their tutors. And I remember just having a book, and I couldn't read because the medication didn't allow me. The words were going around all in circles. I'm like, I can't read either. They can't read, I can't read. So I'm in this same boat. Yeah, the medications, I would say the last 7 hospitalizations have been because of coming off medications. I'm still on some medication, but coming off, people just don't do enough research on that. What happens? For example, people coming out of jail, what happens when they can't get their medication? For me, some medications actually cause psychosis. It does. Coming off actually causes psychosis. That's a side effect, which is something that we didn't know about. So I'm wondering if in my life some of these up and downs just came back from medication changes. I was on one medication where that was about 2-3 years where I can only speak about 5-6 words an hour. And I know some people now wish that was true too, but it's just, so I have to come off of that. It's about working with the system. I ended up in the Multnomah County System Oregon Health Plan because partly I was getting money teaching PSU, PCC, but at that time with a diagnosis of bipolar, I couldn't even purchase insurance. Just was out of the question. So I had this mental health stuff, but I couldn't get medications and help, and I actually lied on one insurance company to at least get basic care if I got almost dead. They didn't find out for 2 years, which is good, because I couldn't even get catastrophic care. Couldn't get any care at all. And, okay. So it's been a hard ride. I ended up in the county system. And at that time, sometimes they would just give us samples, like try different drugs, try this, try that. And that wasn't always so helpful either. And I think now things are a lot better. Things are being watched a lot more carefully. There's been advocates, and there's a lot of people here I see in this room who really care, who've made the systems better. I was committed 10 years ago, and when I got out of the commitment, that was a strange thing too, because they decided I was a danger to myself in the hospital, and I met the lawyer's assistant once or twice, and then they took me to the courtroom, and my parents said I was totally drugged up, so it was different than I presented the day before, so I was like not really with myself. And at that time in Multnomah County, they had this little room, this little concrete room they had behind the court there, and it's just in this steel place. And I met my lawyer for the first time 5 minutes before the trial. And I'm like, dude, tuck in your shirt. You don't look like a real lawyer, like on TV. And what are you representing me for? So I was actually committed, and so I lost my civil rights. And also, I think there's people here can talk about the 72-hour holds, and you lose your civil rights then, and 14-day diversions, things like that. So I've been through lots of that. And about a year after that, someone said, hey, you can appeal. We want you to appeal. So to change what's going on with how commitments are decided upon, people appeal. And I went through appellate court, and actually I won, which means I shouldn't have been committed in the first place. But after I got committed, I got a $30,000 bill from a dentist. So it's interesting. They take your civil rights away, and then they charge you for it. $30,000. And you are the first, they charge you first. Multnomah County tries to get the money out of you, your system, before they go to themselves. And it went to collections, and it was just really scary. Like, am I going to lose everything I have? And it wasn't my choice. It was just, you go to jail, you don't get charged, right? Actually, the state hospital, you do get charged too, but that's, right? So it's kind of odd to be in this place where you need mental health help, and yet you're getting charged for it if you didn't choose it, if it's forced against you. So the appeal, I went through the appeal, I won, and then because my case is kind of well known, it's used as a case study now, you look on the internet under my name and state of Oregon, pops up right away. It's really great for dating, when people are searching you out. So, and I don't think these COAB people don't even know my story, because I don't tell everybody my story. Now they do tonight. But so what my lawyer, Benjamin Hale, and I decided to help, and they tried this before, it didn't work. At Multnomah County now, when you're committed, the records get sealed. That's it, no one can touch it. But now, when you're committed, or if you appeal, the records can go out with your name. So we changed it so Multnomah County, when the appeal starts and everything's under initials. So somebody else's name won't go on the internet like that. They'll have an anonymity. So that's really important, I think, for me, to know that other people won't have that happen to them. Yeah.
So that's really beyond it's really beyond criminalizing a whole group of people. I'm just thinking like, okay, if I had diabetes and I had to be committed or something, and then I would lose, it's mind-boggling to think about. If you're committed, you lose, like, you get treated better if you get, pardon the expression, thrown in jail. That's sobering. I'm glad you brought that up.
Oh, thank you.
I'm going to research that.
Okay. Go in jail costs money too. Okay. Shannon, do you want? No. No, it's okay. Yes.
Hi, my name's Philip, and first off, I just want to say that I really appreciate you sharing your experience and your story. I have a very similar story. I started using drugs when I was 19 and experienced psychosis. In addition to me being deaf, American Sign Language is my first sign language, so approaching police with psychosis and my use of American Sign Language just was tough. So I've been clean since it was when I was 28 years old, so now I'm 42. I'm trying to do the math here. But anyway, 16 years I've been clean. So thank you for that. But I was just curious about your experience and your interactions with police and working with the system in general. Now, Europe has different perspectives about how to approach mental health, and I'm wondering about your experiences when you've traveled. How does that compare to, and how have you experienced different mental health systems in other countries, and how that might help us here in COAB, and if that was clear?
I don't know, might help. I love travel stories, so thank you, Philip. I'll just give you 2 countries that I know about mental health. The other countries I really don't know. Italy last year when I went, I also made connections with what's called Italy Hearing Voices. We have Portland Hearing Voices here. So it's a worldwide network. You don't have to hear voices. It's a support group. And so I connected with them, and they had me speak at the University of Turin. I talked about police, and I talked about Felicia Otis, the story of Felicia Otis, who's on the Behavioral Health Unit Advisory Committee. Her son had died through a police interaction, and she had become friends with a policeman. And the Italians are like, wow, we want to hear this story again and again. This is really fantastic. And also, they said, what are you doing with the police? We don't understand you Americans. Why do they take care of mental health? Because in Italy, what I understand, they're still very community. People still really know each other. We used to have that here, I think, and we've kind of lost that. So that's one way that the police are not involved, because there's other people helping. Also, in Rome, I was in Rome last time, and I went to a speech at a hospital, and in Rome, there's 150 inpatient beds for all of Rome, and Rome is huge. I mean, it could be like, 5, 6 different Portlands all together. I don't know how many millions are there. Portland, we're going to have 102 inpatient beds. We're about 110 now. So think about that. You have this huge population in Rome, and yet it's only 150 beds, and basically it works. Why is it working? Because they have a lot of outpatient care. So in that one hospital, which is the size of any Portland hospital here, they had 35 psychiatrists. And they also have help outside. They had a program where instead of group homes, actually families would get paid to host people. So it was just very different way of thinking. Now Japan, I'm gonna go back to Japan, planning to next month or the month after, and I've been embarrassed to go back because I worked for the year for the Japanese government. It was fine. The summer came, my lithium became toxic in my system. And because it became toxic, I became psychotic. And I had a bunch of money, I traveled around different cities, I did a bunch of really weird stuff, and I got really embarrassed. I ended up in 3 mental hospitals in Japan, and because the system is different now, I'm not gonna tell you the conditions, but they're conditions you don't wanna live in. Again, it must be different now. I'm gonna go back and check it out. But the police were great. They don't have guns, and they were very gentle with me. When I'm not doing well, I refuse to talk. I just get quiet and don't talk, and it took them a long time to figure out who I was. They tried to find Americans to translate, although I spoke Japanese. And somehow they just figured it out. Oh, I remember one time too, I was in a hotel and I thought a fly told me to go do something to save the world, so I took a fire extinguisher and I extinguished the whole hallway. And you know what? I wasn't arrested. They got me mental health help. Wow. Philip, there's your difference. Okay. So we have any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah. James, come on. Together.
A part of what has been a concern is a stigma associated with mental health. Can you say something about that, how you see it, how you experience it? What would be something that would help get rid of it?
Well, I want to talk about one story that is okay, that came up to me when Garlington Center, so I was in Cascadia and Garlington Center in Albina, and I had gotten a low-income house in the Elliott neighborhood, which has no more in low-income houses, right? But it was low-income at that time. And I'm sorry, I didn't see you guys to my back. And so I was living there, I had this house, and people came knocking on my door from the Elliott Neighborhood Association. And they said, would you please sign this petition? I said, okay, what petition? We don't want Garlington in our neighborhood. We don't want Cascadia in our neighborhood. I'm thinking, wait a minute, this is me. You're saying you don't want me in my own neighborhood. Wait a minute, I own a house here. So that was stigma in my own neighborhood. And now I contacted Daryl because I've talked to Cascadia about different uses of language. Instead of saying the mentally ill, people with mental illness, instead of saying we suffer with mental illness, maybe sometimes we suffer, but maybe sometimes we don't. Not all voices for people are bad. Some people get really good voices. Wouldn't that be nice to have?
It's an experience, not torture.
Sometimes.
Torture is what, to me anyway, it's what somebody else does to you, right? I mean, I think some people would like to be able to torture themselves in a way, but I don't think that people that have mental illness wake up and want to torture themselves.
No.
You know, but it all depends on degrees and levels of self-awareness, which isn't an easy thing to navigate or negotiate, whatever your situation is.
So my story here this month, the newspaper came out, the Elliott newspaper, and had a story about Garlington moving in again, this big whole new Garlington thing again, and there was language that just looked disturbing to me. I said, wait a minute, I've been through this with Daryl before, I've been through this. So I called Cascadia, and it takes a long route, and they say, oh, it was a contractor who did it. So I contacted the contractor. She said, oh, thank you, I didn't put those words in. It was the new Elliott newsletter. So I think last week, I actually went to the Elliott Neighborhood Association. They said, no, we didn't do it. So actually, I'm still waiting for the answer. And my thing is like, okay, so language is out there, so what? Let's make sure it doesn't happen again. That's the point. I don't know who to contact, though, because that's part of the stigma thing. Do you want to talk about stigma?
So I didn't make this saying up, but I like to borrow it a lot. And so what helps with changing stigma is that recovery is probable, that it is likely, that it is not only possible, but that it is probable. And so with, when someone gets maybe diagnosed with an illness such as cancer, or there's that hope. Someone, yes, it's devastating and it's hard, and I don't want to minimize by using it as an example because I haven't experienced that, so I apologize for anyone who that really says you haven't had cancer, please don't talk about it. But there seems to be some hope that goes with that. Like, what can we do to get well, to get it in remission, to live longer and to live your best life. And that's really for mental health. It's a snapshot. When you see that person in the worst part of their life, it's a snapshot. And rather than telling them that it's a lifelong curse or illness, that this is the way that you will need to just manage it, and then it becomes your identity. And so the schizophrenic, rather than a person who experiences realities that others don't, or the list of names that are not person first. So just being really, language matters, and in all realms. And so just hope for that person when they don't have it, and just, yeah, language, their whole person. And so if, you know, and even if someone wants to be a rock star or the Messiah and they've just gotten out of 20 years at the state hospital, break it down. Okay, those are great. Those are huge things. What's the first thing the Messiah does? Does he need a driver's license? Does he, you know, what, a home, an audience? What do you need? So, I mean, there you have it.
Okay, yes.
I keep wanting to go back to my chair. It's my little safety zone.
You can just bring it up over here.
Sit right there.
Do you think either one of you could address the issues of stigma, isolation, and belonging on whatever, however you want to do that?
Well, I can talk about, because through NAMI, and I don't agree with everything NAMI says. They know that. They haven't fired me yet. So through NAMI, I get to go to the inpatient units and talk to people when they're the most vulnerable. Or also, when I worked at the Crisis Assessment Treatment Center, it was such a privilege to work inpatient with people. That's such a vulnerable time. And I know for myself, there have been years when maybe I volunteered 3 hours twice a week, because I couldn't work, I was not doing well, but the rest of the day I'd just come home and sleep in my clothes. And I had soap operas on because those were like my friends. I didn't have anybody else around. Then I started cutting down soap operas. Like, what do you do? But I would just try to hide myself by sleeping, but I couldn't sleep. I'd just be in my clothes in the bed all day long. So when I talk to these people in the hospitals, I try to give resources like meetup.com or like different support groups, or I tell a story how really 5 years ago I really probably had some friends, but I couldn't see that. I felt like I had 1 or 2 friends, or people get tired, you get too manic, too depressed, and some people just get tired in your life. And I said I made it a goal to make friends. Now, making friends is not easy. Keeping friends is also not easy. So I just tell them the methods I did and try to encourage them, give them some ways to think about it. Some methods. Again, we're missing community here, but how can we make community? And when you're feeling like you're an outsider, it's even harder to come in. Or like I'd see my neighbors, they all look happy and things like that, and I'd just be holed up in my house. Yeah, so it's really tough. I try to give that information out there. There are support groups. There's a lot of things. You can go to a support group every day in Portland for something.
I don't remember the question.
No, we got a question back here.
So what are your recommendations on how to change the Portland Police Department and get them to start treating people with mental issues as human beings and stop shooting them?
It's a great question. And you know what, through my, maybe I should have you answer first. Do you want to answer? And then I'll give my opinion.
Sure. I think that process has been started. I think the behavioral health unit is a huge step in the right direction, and the extra training that officers are getting, and just culture shift is hard and long, and as you all know, that's why these processes are in place, because things have happened that are very tragic for a long time. So I feel like or those of us who identify with mental health and addiction challenges and all that goes with that, marginalized, stigmatized, but also looking back at them as well, kind of happened to them too. So building that relationship, I know Lieutenant Hager has mentioned that, not to call you out, but that's the first place to start is get to know whether it's the opposition, get to know the enemy if that's how you think. I mean, and then be in situations like this where change can take place. Anna and Lieutenant Hager are going to be coming to Peer Apocalypse, which is our statewide, growing past the statewide peer conference, where that one's not government funded. We can have workshops about whatever we want. It's kind of a cool free thing. And so, but they're coming and they're gonna do building relationships. I'm sorry I don't have the name of your workshop. I'd love you to to
Same
talk
as
about
today.
it.
Same as
Oh.
police, peers,
So-
and possibilities.
So that's, yeah, that's,
Can I add
think-
about that? So actually, I wrote up a workshop proposal for this, and there's so many workshops. It's like a normal conference. You have workshops every hour, and it was rejected. I said, wait a minute, this is such a great idea, right? Right, Tasha? It was such a great idea. And they rejected it. And you know what I found out? I don't even think they even read my description because I put an email there and they didn't respond to that email. They responded to my old email. So I know they didn't read the description. They just saw the word police and like half the group, what I heard, you know, Portland's so small, you know what's going on anyway, in secret communities. So not everybody was against it, but a lot of people were. They just heard the police and then shut off. And so it was nice. The organizer, after a while, came to me and said, hey, Ann, this is what happened. Some people actually want you there. How are we going to do this? So we're going to do an unofficial evening program, which is probably even better anyway, because we won't be under the constraints of what's going on. And, well, maybe it's not a secret because I'm going to say it now. We peer support specialists help each other. So if there's somebody in the crowd who's going to get upset or something about that, we have people ready to be in that crowd to help people out. Peer support specialists is a whole nother thing we don't have time to talk about. It's really working mutually with people, really listening to people. So if somebody's being upset, we've got somebody ready to go with them and support them. And, I want about the police. I feel like the culture is changing. And I also, from working inpatient at the CATSI, I have gotten sometimes so scared because it's gotten so close where I'm going to get attacked or really in danger. Sometimes inpatient gets very, very scary. Things can happen. And people sometimes get very strong and very upset beyond to what you can actually control sometimes. So, not to excuse it, I kind of understand that fear. When you see behavior you don't understand, when something's coming at you, and it just can happen. I have reacted that way too, personally. And I'm a person with mental health issues, so it's very confusing. But sometimes that happens to me. So no, death is not an excuse. But I think through the training, it's learning to shift the mindset. I know in Hillsborough Police Union, they actually teach a mindfulness thing, a meditation thing, to shift the way of thinking, to slow down so it doesn't automatically go to that freeze part in the brain, that it shifts down. So Hillsborough is a good example.
Yes, IPNB.
Can be.
Neurobiology.
Can help. I'm sorry. So we had two hands, and we'll go to, go to you first. You had it. Janie, come on. Bring me up here.
Hi. First of all, I just wanted to thank you both for coming here and sharing your stories. And like Philip, I'm very moved by both of you, and wanted to respectfully ask if folks from the COAB wanted to be engaged in the event that you're describing. Could you give us more details? And further, could you guide us as allies or accomplices in this work, how we could come into that space in a respectful way? I would really like to understand that as well.
I'll just say, we as peers, there's no way to come in and respect. Just be yourself. We accept people wherever they're at. Wherever they're at, even though they're not feeling respectful, we respect them, right? We just open our hearts to them. So you don't have to think about coming in respectfully. Wherever you're at, we'll support you. We just accept you where you're at. Because humans go up and down anyway every day, right? And we're taught as peer support specialists just to accept everybody. That's not, and not be non-judgmental. And that's not an easy thing either. But that's what we teach, and that's what we try to be in our work lives as peer support specialists. And those words I came up at the beginning, those are really concepts we try to work with, which is so different than the medical model, than other places, than the police way of doing things. It's just different. And it's a privilege to work that way. And she'll talk about peer apocalypse because you talk about your job. I mean, she's a big manager now.
Mental Health America of Oregon is who I get to work for. I'm still always really excited that I have a job. It's Peer Apocalypse, and it has its own website, so I could spell that if you're interested in going to the website, PEER, And the rest is like apocalypse. So
Go to Mental Health America Oregon.
Yeah, and there's a link. So MHAO, yeah, .org. Yeah, .org. And so click on the link. And plenty of time to register. We welcome clinicians, anyone who wants to know more about peer services, the peer world. There's really cool workshops that like eCPR, which let's get that spread worldwide.
What is that?
Emotional CPR. So, and it's like this kind of, you get a little, it's like meeting someone where they're at and walking through that crisis with them, if, you know, and offering emotional CPR like you would physical CPR. So that's a great training. The list of workshops is up. It's going to be at Seaside Convention Center, March
14th, 15th, 16th. Thank
you. I should know this. We're planning it. So MHAO is hosting and planning it. So I should know this stuff. I'm less involved this year. I get to be director of our direct peer support services, and we have a pretty diverse group where we can provide peer support. Clackamas County, Good Sam Emergency Department. We'll be starting OHSU, more focused on addictions. We just wrapped up a Kaiser pilot. Providence, we started a peer support with Project Nurture and Providence to support moms, pregnant moms who are struggling with addiction or and pregnant. So just it's also very tied to the lived experience. The peer support specialist, while we may not have exact lived experiences, there's this commonality and this almost instant connection made by having that, broader shared lived experience. And so for that program, at the interview we had to ask, did you use while you were pregnant? And actually your lived experience is valuable, and you can give, the opportunity to give back and help other moms who are struggling with that as well. So that's a brand new one that we're starting and really super excited about.
Okay, we've got about time for about one more question.
Oh, okay. One more question. I do want to add another comment. I think we had a question from you no, it's okay. So I'm kind of a person who pushes systems and challenges things. People in the room know this. So I'm going to go back to my experience here first at the COAB. I came, one of the first meetings actually, and they had invited Bob Jundeff to come speak about their peer community. And those of us in the community were like, wait a minute, we love Bob. Bob is, I absolutely he's an incredible person doing wonderful stuff for us. He doesn't identify as somebody with mental health issues though. So Bob actually wrote to us, still up much, and said, hey, what do I say? Because I can't speak for the peer community, I'm not peer. So we wrote a bunch of stuff, and he read a lot of my stuff. I'm like, wow, that sounds good, but I was surprised. So that was my thing, and it was hard for me. I don't know if you remember, I actually spoke to everybody, and what I said at that point was, you guys have such a chance to get to know each other. So all these different groups here, what an opportunity. And I was hoping that at this COAB, and I don't know because I haven't been here, that you're really starting to know each other at different places. You all together can shift things. And today, and I was frustrated. Let me just tell you honestly, why is Bob speaking for us? Why don't they have us there? Part of it is that maybe not everybody knows who we are, and we're getting more organized, and Brad can't miss us anymore, so Brad will know. But it hurt. It really hurt. And I said, what is this process about at this COAB? And the Biden Ministerial Alliance, spoke great. And I actually have had lunch and dinner with Dr. Bethel and Hardy, and I've been to the churches, and I love gospel music. I grew up that way in Northeast Portland. So it's been a great discussion back and forth. What are you looking for? What are we looking for? How do we work together on this? And the Unity Project, actually, Dr. Harding, is it Harding or Hardy tonight? I'm not thinking. Harvesting, thank you, I'm sorry. So he actually came to the Unity to testify for you. No, it's Dr. at the Highland Church. Hardy, thank you. I'm getting nervous, I can't. So Dr. Hardy actually came because I had requested it. I sent it out to the Biden Ministerial Alliance. Hey, when you come learn about Unity, support Unity at the Multnomah County hearing, he was there. And that really meant so much to me personally, that they listened to the calls. So it's about us working all together. I have stayed away from this committee because of the hurt from that meeting. And I said, maybe I can't do anything. But look, you guys invited us back. I feel so happy. And I can see this, more of us working together. Now, I am personally, Jamie's running half an organization over there and half the hospitals in Portland, and I am so busy as a volunteer. I'm still on disability because I still go in the hospitals in and out. I think I'll be strong enough soon to just go back to work. But I am doing 20, 30 hours volunteer work about unity, trying to make sure that that's going to be a system that works for us too. And I'll just tell you, it's a privilege. I don't know where else in the country peers have been up at the top level meetings helping to form a hospital. I mean, this is a private organization. They don't have to have us there. And it's not easy, but they have us there. And they've asked for input from peers and families. And again, I don't agree with everything, but we're trying to make the best system possible. And so people who are working with the jail systems and peers and stuff see unity as a real promise to keep people out of jail, keep people out of that whole system. So we'll see, but that's where I'm at, and we're busy right now. So I'm just really hoping, V, thank you so much for doing this. You're holding the fort for us. And you too, Philip, thank you very much. But in one way, we're all peers. Everyone's been through trauma. Everyone goes up and down every day.
Well,
So we all are human.
we're really happy that you're here. We thank you. We respect your courage. And I hope you'll keep on talking. All right, thank you very much. Laquita and Catherine asked for some time.
Are you leaving, or are you guys going to be here for a minute?
Thank you. Thank you.
Will you be here during break? Yeah, there is.
So Laquita and Catherine have asked for some time on the agenda. You've got about 10 to 12 minutes to do what you're going to do.
It won't take that long. I really appreciate.
Excuse me, hold on just a minute.
I really appreciate this segue into tonight's meeting from us having thought, Catherine and I, at our last meeting, we got together after that meeting, after listening and being very inspired by the words of Amy Watson and what it is that she says. So I just wanted to kind of read something that we put together about the blue hat. At our first COAB general meeting this month, Amy Watson spoke of attending a meeting. There was everyone who had a disability. Where everyone who had a disability had the option of sporting a blue hat to identify themselves as such, but no one did. So Kat and I, after our last meeting, we got together and we discussed the idea of COAB members identifying themselves with the hats, and both thought we should give it a try because both of us are willing to sport the blue hats. We chose construction hats to demonstrate that we, the COAB, are hard workers, hard at work. Now, please remember, this is an optional of sporting the blue hat. So I'll be first to sport. Can't really put my blue hat on, but this is my blue hat. You on the top hat, you get one of those hats. So it's optional. But we really thought that, we know that people in our community struggle with this, with their disabilities, and we wanted to just acknowledge the fact that, we do have some struggles on a day-to-day basis with things that we deal with. I know I personally do. And so if you like, you can grab a hat. If you like, we have stickers and pins that you can, if you want to identify what your illness is, or just wanting to be in solidarity with what it is that we're doing here. And it's just this part, I know we got here a little bit late, there was traffic, but it's just moving to know that we are building community with one another, and we are doing the best that we can to make change in this process. So I want to thank you guys for giving us a few minutes to demonstrate the blue. We hard working, y'all. We working.
Thank you. Thank you. So how many blue hats are there? Can you pass them around? Are there lots of them?
12 total.
Oh, well, here's a message. Here's a message from the chair for the executive committee, Bud. Okay. Bud says, "I'm sorry I can't make it tonight. You can put a hard hat out that says, for me, that says gender dysphoria and clinical depression. Put that in my spot if you want.
Thanks, Bud. Anyone else want a hat? Want a cap?
I'll have one.
Okay.
It goes with my shirt. Thank you. Thank you, Laquita and Catherine, for being thoughtful and for giving people a chance to participate on another level.
Yes.
Thanks a lot. Okay, we're open for public comment. Do I have a sign-up sheet?
Thank you.
Thank you. I have several people signed in, but I don't see anybody who said they want to make a public comment today, except for Ann Brayfield. Okay. Can't see you. Let's start with Ann, and we'll come to you, Laura.
I didn't put my name on that list. I put my initials on that list, and you keep calling my name out on meetings when I don't identify myself. So I would please ask you to not identify people that don't put their names on the list. Thank you.
Excuse me, I have a note here for Ann Brayfield who would like to, okay.
So again, is this on? Hello? So again, my name is Brad Taylor. I'm a mental health specialist with the city. And I thank all the COAB members for being here and members of the public, and certainly Ann and Janie. So these comments are from Ann Brayfield, who is participating through the live stream. I am Ann Brayfield, concerned citizen. In the context of Ann sharing in her presentation tonight that her civil rights have been violated, I would like to suggest that Keaton Otis in 2010 and Michael Johnson in 2015 also had their civil rights violated. Ann is fortunate to be alive. Otis and Johnson are not. While I do understand the work of the COAB as it relates to the settlement agreement, I would suggest that this body undertake an effort that may not be within its scope of work, but it is related to policies you are making recommendations on. As a community, we need to solve a problem that existed in 2010 and appears to continue to exist. We shoot the sick. When I put the Otis and Johnson cases side by side, I found that in addition to the outcomes being the same, many of the officers, the deputy DA, and the detective involved were also the same. That led me to think that the outcomes were not a coincidence. Something is broken, and we need to learn what has not changed before we can make recommendations that will make a difference in outcomes. As a start, please find a way to look further into these two cases to be fully informed as you make recommendations on policy. Thank you.
Thank you, Ann.
Quality child care. Quality child care is not only necessary and vital to and for the public, quality child care is necessary to the volunteers and employees essential to this process. When the necessity for quality child care is right now, we cannot say now is too soon. A child's mind is forming now, the child is now. We must be considerate to all mothers, fathers, guardians, and children. We cannot say quality child care only exists 10 days from now. To assume and imply that everyone should and can plan that far in advance is not only unreasonable and discriminating, but also inconsiderate and elitist. Quality child care in this place is necessary for the public involvement, is necessary for outreach and outcomes. Quality child care is not only necessary here, it's necessary everywhere. Our children are counting on us to make the necessary changes that are affecting our future, their future. Quality childcare is not a bunch of toys in the corner in a room full of adults speaking. Those of you that are in charge, those in charge of monies, those that have the power to implement quality childcare should be ashamed of themselves for withholding the service from the public, volunteers, and its essential employees. Quality childcare goes hand in hand with quality customer service. Quality customer service includes everyone and leaves no one out. Quality childcare does not discriminate and is available at all meetings regardless of a phone call 10 days ago. Quality childcare at all meetings will demonstrate quality customer service. Let us learn together from this process and from each other to nurture and protect all children. It is urgently necessary to implement quality childcare at every public meeting. Police murder children. Tamir Rice, 12 years old. Ayana Jones, 7 years old. Jenny McMillan, 16 years old. Jeremy Martis, 6 years old. Angelo Jackson, 6 years old. Micaiah Jackson, his sister, 3 years old. Ramir Tulis, 3 years old. Sierra Myers, 12 years old. God bless their mothers and their fathers.
Thank you. Any more public comment? We'll take a 10-minute break, please, and come back.